Yay! I'm live! Maybe. I think. Hey there, Soul Shines. It's Michelle here, and I'm inviting you to wake up and live. And I think I'm live, but things look kind of way super laggy. So who knows what it will actually look like. I had a struggle with YouTube for a while is because I'm having a lot of issues with the ability to go live. Alrighty, so today I want to talk about how we make life hard, and life doesn't have to be that hard. In the healing community, in the manifesting community, it's amazing to me how often certain phrases show up. Let me move this so you guys can hear me better. Microphone placement. I'm thinking, what are some of the phrases? There's just kind of this acceptance that life is hard. In general, like, you're just going to have to deal with hard things is said a lot. Life was never meant to be easy. Oh my gosh, that's one of my pet peeve statements. Life was never meant to be easy. Well, what if life was meant to be easy, but we just make it hard? What if? So I think that life is a lot easier. What happens? It goes like all funky picture, like pixelated away. I feel like that's what's going to happen because as I move, it's like I'm moving in slow motion. Yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to talk. Whatever the video shows up is how the video shows up. And I am live mostly because it's 9:30 and I was like, oh, I promised to do 100 videos and I don't have one ready to go. So I'm like, eek, keep my commitment to myself. I'm here. So how do I make life easier? For one thing, I choose to believe life is easy. And I since choosing and catching myself every time I would go into one of the cliche statements about how hard life is, as I would catch myself, I would reframe it and I would change it, and I practiced that, and eventually I got to where I experience a lot more ease than I do hardship. Yeah, every once in a while I still catch myself. I'm not perfect yet. But one of the things that I do, I believe in God, and whether you believe in God or you don't, you still have the opportunity to ask a higher power to give you answers with ease. So for me, that looks like prayer. As I have kind of mentioned, I have a type of OCD. Actually, just today I realized why a certain situation was so traumatic for me, and I realized it was because it was wrapped up in this type of OCD I have. It's called scrupulosity, and it's about a relationship with God. It's like a religious OCD, and this situation had a very religious context. And just today, as I was talking about it, that is why that situation was so traumatic. It's the only time of the mindset of going and hiding in the mountains versus actually killing myself. And that was kind of the mindset I had, was that if I just disappeared or if I went away, nobody would notice. But only this one time in my life did it get to a point where I actually was suicidal. And so I'm very grateful for that. But I realized today it had to do with the scrupulosity. Well, I've been trying to heal different aspects of it, and I know that this is going to be one of those things that has more than one thread to heal. And I put it out there that the answers that I'm looking for, the next thing that I need to heal on this until it's cleared up, completely, which could be, maybe it's only 2 threads, maybe it's 3. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. I just know that it's more than one. Which could make it harder, as we're talking about things being hard, but it doesn't. But really, it can cover whoever is in charge of everything. I asked them to give me answers with ease. I was reading yesterday or today, I can't remember which, a book. It's actually a book on weight loss. And it's written completely different than any other book that I have ever read before. I got it a long time ago, kind of looked at it, and then put it aside. But lately I've been feeling like I wanted to read it again about some of the things going on with her mom. And I started getting some emotional response to it, which tells me that there's something there for me to look at. And so I was able to look and see that I already knew I have some issues with my mom, but I was able to look at it in a completely different way, going off of what she was saying. And I was able to then start remembering how it felt when my mom substituted for my 6th grade class, how it felt when my mom volunteered at the school. She was doing it as an act of love, felt like that serving me, because her love language is service. So she felt like if she was going to school and serving and being the PTA president and all these kind of things, that she was showing me that she loved me. But because my love language is not service and I have a completely different love language, that was actually really hurtful for me. And for me, it felt like she didn't love me. Actually really honed into my experience, gave me proof that she didn't love me, because she was giving all of her time, attention, and, in my opinion, love to all the other kids in class. The experience when she substituted my class was very traumatic, because she didn't want to play favorites. But because she was my mom, the kids were really mean to me when they weren't. Normally, I was one of those kids that just kind of nobody really paid attention to, but because my mom was there, they were really mean to me. So there's a lot of trauma there. But it gave me an easy way. Here is something you really need to look at. This is why you have so much energy wrapped up on what kind of mom you're going to be. This is why you judge yourself so harshly if you don't do the mom role the way that you think you are meant to do it. And it has to do with all these things. So the reason why I say that this is a thing of being ease is that I could have gone in digging and digging and digging. I could have had these big, huge melodramatic experiences happening. But instead, I'm reading a book. And the words in the book just touched me just right so that I am allowed to then see what I'm really thinking and believing. And I've had this happen so many times. One of the most dramatic experiences of this was when I was, probably 5 years ago. I was driving and I was frustrated with God, and I had felt like He had abandoned me. And I was trying to heal that. And I was like, okay, I know that in my head, I know that You've not abandoned me. But this is how I'm feeling. So help me to know what it is that I need to heal. And at that time, my favorite technique for healing, it's still one that I love, is that I would take a word and I would just send so much love to that word. And everything that, every emotion that was coming up, I would just imagine that it was just filling with love, and I would say, I love this word fully and completely, and I forgive this word fully and completely, and all of the energy that was around it, and I would experience profound changes with this. And so I had done abandonment, I had done some different words, and as I'm driving along, I hear a really old song on the radio, early 80s song that I hadn't heard since the early 80s. And I'm driving along and I hear this song, kind of singing along with it, because, those songs from your junior high and high school days kind of stick in your head. And so I'm singing along with it, and there was a word in it. And it was a word, I can't even remember what the word is, but it was a type of abandonment or some kind of thing, maybe like neglect or something. There was some kind of word that just stood out to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I feel. I was able to heal around that word, and I have not felt abandoned by God since. It was that easy. He gave it to me in a song. And I think that's really important to remember, is that when we remember that life is easy, the only time that things get difficult for me when I'm like looking for answers is when I refuse to see the answer when it comes. And each time the answer comes a little bit stronger. So sometimes it does come out in a big old like fight with somebody, and it's like, holy cow, that was a big, huge trigger. And it was the only way I was willing to see it. And my favorite is when it comes so easy, and I just see it because it's right there. It's given to me in a song, a comment on Facebook. A friend just says, I was just thinking about you. And then we're just kind of talking, and it comes up in the conversation. I read it in a book. This is how easy life can be when you're looking for your answers. And it's not just answers about, like I want to heal, but some of my intentions are, I want my hair to be curlier, and I want my hair to grow faster and longer. And I have a goal in mind of what my hair will look like and how long it will be. And just like things just show up in my experience that are giving me information. I've learned that I have highly porous hair that's also protein sensitive, which means that I have to treat it completely different than the average wavy-haired girl. And that when I can address the fact that my hair is not holding in moisture and get my hair moisturized, it's going to have more curl like I want it to be. It's probably going to grow longer because it's going to be healthier. And I've found a long hair community. I'm finding so much information, probably will let my kids brush my hair just because I love it, even though it's like really bad for curly hair. And I'm looking and I'm seeing that my hair is kind of got a 2B, 2C thing going for the waves. When it's really moisturized, it looks more like a 2C, maybe even into a 3A. And 3A is like my dream curl. And so I'm excited because I'm now seeing that it's not just a dream, it's a possibility. And it's all because the answers just show up. The answers to everything. I know exactly what's in my money situation, what's in the way. It has to do with the scrupulosity, OCD kind of thing. And I know as soon as that's taken care of, then that last block is gone, because it's that shuts me down every single time I start to make money. It's that OCD kind of scrupulosity thing, because it's tied in with my parenting and my God situation. And so it's really interesting to experience a life of ease. And so if you want to, but I know exactly why something is not easy in my life. And that actually is very helpful. It helps me to still have joy in that experience when I know this is why, and all I have to do is tweak these few things, and I will be back in a life of ease. And I like that. I think some things are important. Number one, you need to define what a life of ease looks like for you. It's like success. To some people, having a lot of money is success. To other people, having a really close family is success. You need to have your definitions. You have to have that clarity. So what does a life of ease actually look like for you? For me, it's emotional. So I could be living on the streets and still have a life of ease because it's an emotional thing. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel bogged down. I feel light. I feel joyful. I feel like I'm in a high vibration. That to me is a life of ease. So that's the first thing, is what does the life of ease look like for you? And then ask yourself questions. What if life was meant to be easy? What would it look like for you? And what's the other question that's trying to come to my mind? What would it take to have a life of ease? And in this moment, what would it take to have an easy solution? Maybe for me, as I'm kind of feeling the stress of watching this connection be so horrible, what would it take for this connection to be amazing? What would it take for this connection to be easy? And just allow things to change and to know. I think part of my problem is that I have so much going on right now on my computer. I'm doing one of those like 40 billion tabs open kind of thing. So I'm probably, my computer's kind of not happy with that. So maybe that would be something to consider in the future, is when I do a live video, stop and make sure the only thing happening on my computer is that. Other questions are, why am I having a life of ease? You got to be careful with the how questions, because sometimes the how is not our business, but it can be very helpful, because when I ask, why is my life easy, or why am I having a life of ease, I get things about my way of being. I get answers about, because I am a divine individual, because I have peace in my heart. I get a lot of that kind of way of being things. When I ask, how is my life easy, or how do I have a life of ease, I get different kind of answers coming to me. It's because so-and-so is doing this. It's because you get answers here. It's because of this. It's because of that. It's a different kind of answer. And I think to have balance, we need both. So ask your why questions first, so you get into that state of being, and then ask your how questions to help you to see how. And you can even ask, how can I have more ease? And you'll get some different answers. But you have to be careful with the how, because sometimes we get caught up in the how of things. Like we think that there's only one solution, and we get caught up in that how. And so if you find yourself getting caught up in the how, don't ask how for a while. You can ask why questions and what would it take questions. And when you're asking your what would it take question, you're not asking about like this one little detail. You're asking, what would it take to get this like tunnel vision where we can only see one or two possibilities. If you ask what would it take, it opens the possibilities. So what would it take to have a life of ease? What if life was meant to be easy? Why is your life easy, and how is your life easy? If you're going to, like, anxiety comes from what if questions. So if you're going to ask a what if question, why don't you ask an empowering what if question? And what if life was meant to be easy? And what if you could have a life of ease? Ask those kind of questions instead of the what if all the negative things happen. Ask yourself, what if the positive things happen? That will help you get out of anxiety and into a life of ease. Okay, so I have been on here for like almost 20 minutes and watching myself go doing weird things, which is really annoying to watch. But I did keep my promise, and I did another video, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being in my YouTube family. Remember to let your soul shine big, bright, live, and beautiful. Be the incredible, wonderful, brilliant, beautiful you that you were created to be.